What's up, everybody? This is the Jedi. I'm doing this video for two reasons. The first reason is I just found out about this because my nephew called me from New York, from Buffalo, and asked me, did I hear about this shooting in Buffalo? What makes it noteworthy for me is that, according to my nephew, the white devil murderer that did the shooting, A, was a white devil, and B, came from a white part of Buffalo to a predominantly black part, which is where this supermarket is located, and did this act. So that makes it noteworthy for me. The other reason why I'm doing this is because I need to let you know that I have another video that I did the day before yesterday that I've not released yet, that I'm still actually working on, that is on this nature boy, this young guy that was running on a, they claim it's a cult. I don't subscribe to that definition, but anyway, I have a piece that I put together on this nature boy dude, and also the release of Sundiata Aculi, a former Black Panther member who was just paroled from prison after nearly 50 years. Oh my, anyway, so it's an excellent piece. I'm still in editing on that, so look for that next. Just, I'm doing this now because it is breaking news. My nephew just called me, and as I said, because of the characteristics of the case, this is why I'm even interested in even seeing what's going on with this. Now, it's also noteworthy, you guys, also because my nephew's first job ever was at Tops. That's the supermarket chain that this happened at. Thankfully, this is not the one he used to work at, but it's still a damn Tops. So that also made it noteworthy in all of it. Teen killed in mass shooting at Jefferson Avenue supermarket. Officials describe attack as a hate crime. And then there's some photos. It looks like there's 4 of them. Let's see if we could just see. Yeah, we ain't seen nothing but black folks. Okay, that was too far. As I say, the shooter is a white devil. Because that's the people that do mass shootings, everybody. It necessarily must be yet another commentary on white violence and white terrorism, you know, because we are told to be peaceful and, you know, go through the channels of justice and all of this, and we've done that. We no longer have that burden at all. It is time that we understand that you got to fight fire with fire, and by any means necessary. Because even in situations like this, before we even read and find out what happened, this is, so everybody who is a victim, that means they got a family and people that knew them, other black folks. You feel me? So where is now the black militia, the black armed militia that responds to this? I ask you this now. Where's it at? Uh, Now, I'm understanding that at least 10 people were killed. So I don't know why they're just saying teen killed in mass shooting at Jefferson Avenue supermarket. Officials describe attack as hate crime. So maybe everybody didn't die. Well, that's why we're going to read and find out. A demon murderer, uh, a demon paid murderer of the state comforts a mourner outside Tops Market on Jefferson Avenue in Buffalo, where a white devil killed 10 people. So 10 people did die, apparently. Killed 10 people on Saturday. She's comforting. She's comforting. Wow. All I can do is look at this and think even of Dante Wright and the white bitch that murdered him, screaming taser, taser while she held a full gun in her hand. I'm over it. This is a developing breaking news situation. Check back for updates. All right. 10 people were murdered and 3 others were wounded, 2 of them critically, outside and inside a Tops supermarket on Jefferson Avenue on Saturday afternoon in what paid murderers of the state describe as a racially motivated hate crime. That's significant. Because, we always have to jump through rings of fire to get them to declare shit a hate crime when it comes to us. So that's a very significant initial assessment. That's a very significant initial proclamation. And it's the paid murderers of the state who are describing this as a racially motivated hate crime. Ikra. Quote, "It's like walking onto a horror movie, but everything is real. It is Armageddon-like," said one paid murderer at the scene. "It is so overwhelming." Of the 13 victims, 11 were African. See? So, of the 13, 11 were African. So we want to know what them other 2 were. Because I just said to you, it was very significant that they declared this a racially motivated hate crime. Would it be if all 13 were Africans? Or did we need those other 2 who are not Africans to get that proclamation? I ask you this now. But we're going to find out. So of the 13, 11 were Africans. Paid murderers and prosecutors said the shooting had a racial motive. So we've already got prosecutors involved already? Police and prosecutors. Like immediately. Okay. Quote, "It was straight up a racially motivated hate crime," Erie County Sheriff of the murderers, John Garcia, said at a late afternoon news conference. The gunman, Payton S. Gendron, Payton. I'm over it. Isn't that a demonic name anyways? Payton? Wasn't there something called Payton's Place or Payton something? There was some horror movie, I feel like. Somewhere. Anyways, moving on. Payton, murdering white devil, who was 18, of Conklin in Broome County, was arraigned Saturday evening before Buffalo City Court Judge Craig Hanna on a first-degree murder charge. Wow. So when did this happen? Because we've got prosecutors on the scene already. We've got an arraignment already happened. I mean, this doesn't happen, everybody. Just a second. Okay, this is updated 6 minutes ago. They're going to tell us what happened. They're going to tell us what time. All right, just read on, Jedi. Damn it. All right, because they need to tell us what time it happened. Full disclosure, it is 6:52 California time right now. So it's 9:52 Buffalo time, New York. Anyways, so this murderer was arraigned Saturday evening before Buffalo County Judge Craig Hanna on a first-degree murder charge. That's also very significant. First-degree murder, bitch. Like, not, we don't know what charges, and we don't know. I mean, where's my punch? Because, wait. Because this almost feels like justice, like the way shit is supposed to go. And that doesn't happen. So I don't know if I can breathe. People also reading. Okay, all right. 4 TOPS employees were among those shot, including a recently retired Buffalo paid murderer who was working security at the store and was killed. Boom. There's why it's first-degree murder, everybody. And a hate crime. We just figured it out. Because it included a retired paid murderer who was working security and was murdered. That's why it's first-degree murder, and that's why prosecutors are on the scene, and judges and lawyers and just all of it. That's why. That's why. You see? I knew something was not clicking. But let's read on. The Buffalo News is withholding the retired murderer's identity because it could not be determined whether his family has been notified. So the retired murderer, the retired paid murderer of the state, they're not releasing his name. Even though he's retired. He's a retired state murderer. But still, they've given him the respect. And we'd like to know if he was African or not. That's going to be very, very key. Because I already questioned these 13. But only 11 were Africans. So is he one of the 2 that was not African? Because if so, that's why prosecutors are on the scene and arraignments have happened and judges and lawyers and juries and shit. Like, this is, you see, when the Jedi speaks, you learn, everybody. So they're not releasing him because it's not to determine if his family knows or not. As many as 5 bodies were found in the parking lot. An on-site paid state murderer said, quote, "Bullets and blood are everywhere," the source said. Chanel Harris, an operation manager at the TOPS, said she heard gunshots and ran frantically through the store, falling several times before exiting the back. She saw the White Devil murderer, who she described as a white devil wearing camouflage. Quote, "He looked like he was in the army," end quote. Harris thought she heard 70 shots. SubhanAllah. Witness describes running from mass shooting. Let's hear this now. Well, I don't want to interrupt the flow of the article. We'll come back and hear that. Yeah. Let's read the report first. The shooter was dressed in body armor, had a military-grade helmet on his head, and was armed with a high-powered rifle, police sources said. The shooter had a camera, and police are looking into whether he live streamed from the scene, according to police. The shooter was taken into custody and placed in a police vehicle at the scene, according to the sources. You see? So, you can be a white devil mass shooter and you still get taken into custody after murdering nearly 13 people. You see? Not drop the gun, get down, get on the ground, get down. No. You're placed in a police vehicle where it's all nice and air conditioned and they have it all. And it's all fine. It is unknown if he offered a reason for the massacre. Video posted on Twitter showed two Buffalo state murderers with a man who appears to be in custody just outside the top store. The man is a white devil dressed in camouflage pants wearing what appears to be a mask over his mouth. The news has not been able to confirm that the person in custody in the video was the murderer. Immediately after the shooting, Braden Capehart and Shane Hill said they came almost face to face with the demon as they were turning their Equinox into a parking space in the Tops parking lot. Capehart described him as a writer and editor and a publisher, but while Capehart described him as a white, is what they meant, a white demon in his late teens or early 20s with dirty blonde hair. He was standing there in his military gear with his weapon to his chin, looking like he was going to blow his head off. He was standing there with his military gear, with his weapon to his chin. Is that the muzzle of the weapon? Looking like he was going to blow his head off. Capehart said, "We weren't sure what was happening. As he continued to do that, he dropped to his knees, still appearing as if he might shoot himself." Capehart said she then looked away. Quote, I turned my head and back around. I turned my head and back around as the police were telling us to get back in our cars, she said. You see? That's two typos. That means there's no proofreading that went on. That's why when we're on live and you guys type comments, proofread before you hit send. It's just, I can't. Now, when Capehart looked back, she said it appeared that the state murderers had tackled and apprehended the demon. They watched as he was put in the police vehicle and taken away. Whatever. She shuddered to think what might have happened if they arrived at Tops a little earlier. I guess she means her and her husband or whoever was with her. All right, a few more minutes, quote, a few more minutes, and God forbid, I don't even want to think what would have happened, Capehart said. Inside the supermarket, several other victims were found. And some of the deceased appeared to be hiding near cash register lines. Man. You know, that's the other reason why I'm doing this, you guys, because thankfully my nephew called me And thankfully, he doesn't work for Tops anymore. But let's just say he was still working at Tops and he hadn't called me, and I found this story on my own. I would have been panic stricken because I don't. And I asked him when we were just on a minute ago, like, how far is this one from the one he worked at and stuff like that. But I didn't know that. So I would have just seen Tops, mass shooting in Buffalo, and I would have been like, oh my God, you know, I would have immediately insinuated that my nephew probably could have been there, you know. So, wow. And I can promise you on everything, or as the thugs say, on God, my nigga, on God, that I would have been en route to Buffalo, New York, AR-15 in hand. Like, nothing would have stopped me. Adding to the horror, one of the I'm not going to read these sources and one sources. It's just I'm not going to do that. I'll skip those parts because it interrupts the flow of the information. Adding to the horror was family members arriving after word spread in the community about the shooting. Others at the scene started streaming the shooting on Facebook Live. Will G., a dairy frozen worker at the Tops on Jefferson, said he walked into the cooler to stock milk about 3 minutes before the shooting. I just heard shots, shots, and shots, and shots, he said. It sounded like things were falling over. The worker hid in the cooler and more people joined him. He said, I just hid. I wasn't going to leave that room. Harris described the busy scene at Tops, quote, it was filled. It's the weekend, so it was packed. It's like a dream, but I know it's not a dream. The Tops, he said. GYC Ministries pastor Tim Newkirk, okay, a ministries pastor. Nothing follows pastor but vomit, but we'll just see. Ministries pastor Tim Newkirk, with his arm around Harris, his sister, said, it's something you hear about, but you never experience. You see it on TV. I never thought I'd be one of them. Harris, whose daughter Denise also worked at the Tops, was found safe behind the supermarket. Quote, I just grabbed her, I hugged her. Barbara Massey, or Massey, was frantically searching for her sister Catherine outside the Tops. She said her sister was shopping at the time of the shooting, and the two have not been able to make contact despite several phone calls and requests to the police. Massey's brother had dropped Catherine off for a routine grocery shopping trip. She was supposed to be waiting in front of the store for her brother to pick her up again. Catherine Crofton, a retired firefighter and medic, witnessed the shooting from her porch on Riley Street. She said she was playing with her dog and smoking a cigarette when she heard a shot. I didn't see him at first. I turned around. I saw him shoot this woman. She was just going into the store, and then he shot another woman. She was putting some groceries in her car. I got down because I didn't know if he was going to shoot me. Crofton saw the emergency responders arrive too. Quote, the guy walked out the store. The cops were just screaming at him, and he just stood there. It was like he wanted them to shoot him. The shooter began to remove his gear when another police car pulled up. The state murderers got out and jumped on the shooter. Veronica Hemphill Nichols said she was walking to the Tops for a loaf of bread and saw two bodies in the parking lot. When I saw those bodies, I just broke. I'm angry and I'm trying to power down, she said. Veronica also said she saw people rushing out the store and saw a woman frantically asking, "Where's my daughter?" Johnny Emmons was inside her home about 5 doors away from the Tops, down Landon Street, when she said she heard bursts of gunfire. First came a flurry of about 20 shots, then after a brief pause, about 20 more shots. A large police presence shut down the area north of Jefferson Avenue at Northampton Street. The Tops Market is at the intersection of Jefferson Avenue and Riley Street, about 2 blocks north of Jefferson and Northampton. Eric County Executive Mark C. Polenkars, is that an R? Can't see from here. Polenkai. Whatever, tweeted at 2:49. Okay, 2:49. Have they given us another time? That's our first time marker. I hope y'all can't hear my stomach growling. Anyway, tweeted at 2:49 that he was aware of an, quote, active multiple shooting event, end quote, that occurred at the Tops Market at 1275 Jefferson Street. He urged the public to avoid the area. All right, now we want to go back and hear these witness statements from these people. And before I even play this, can I just say, sisters, stop with this Kool-Aid colored hair bullshit. Please stop. For the love of all of Black humanity, please stop. Please.
This is Chanel Harris, yes. And you're an operation manager at Tops. Can you tell me what you experienced?
Well, I experienced today when I was in the store, I was working, and
what were you doing?
Putting up groceries, and heard a noise. Then I got louder and closer, and everybody started running towards the back. I got stumbled a few times before I was able to get out. And by the time I got out, I ran around the front of the building, experienced someone getting shot, and I ran back because I was looking for my daughter. Found my daughter, but we both okay.
Okay, so your daughter, what does she do there?
She works as a grocery clerk.
Okay, as a grocery. Did you see the shooter?
I seen him.
What did he look like?
He had army fatigue stuff on, and he was dressed like he was dressed with army in the army.
With
white
tall,
male.
white male.
White male.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he was in like army fatigues. I heard helmet. I heard.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah. And what kind of, like a rifle?
Rifle. I seen all that, and I ran back at this.
Yeah.
So he still was shooting.
So you were trying to find your daughter during
yes.
this. And how many shots do you think were fired during this?
Over 70.
Oh my God.
It was a lot.
It was a lot.
Way back there.
Repetitive.
And then, so how did you escape?
Through the back door.
Okay. And you said you fell a couple times trying to get out.
I got stumbled a couple of times.
And there were, how full was the store?
It was full. It was full this weekend. It was full. Today was packed. So it's,
And you said someone was shot in front of you?
I witnessed one of them. Yes.
And, I'm so glad your brother's here for you.
Yes,
and
me too.
Yeah,
Surprised me. I didn't even know he was here.
Yeah, he was on his way. Which Tops. Everybody comes to the supermarket,
exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Even across town. I live across town. I work here.
Yeah. And can you tell me about how you're? What do you think of? This is a mass shooting, right?
It's like a nightmare. I feel like it's like a dream, but I know it's not a dream. But
you hear about, but you never experience.
Yes. You see it on TV. But you hear about it on TV. Yeah, don't even think in with schools and things like that. But
right.
I would never thought I would be one of them.
Yeah. So were you hiding in the back, or did you just run out the back?
I was ran out the bag. As I got stumbled, I was running with everybody else.
Yeah, and where did you find your daughter? In the store or outside?
I found her outside.
Outside,
and outside.
And what did you think when you?
I just think I just grabbed her. I hugged her.
Oh God! Oh my gosh! And how long did it take for you to find her?
As soon as we Samara right here,
Okay.
it was gathering people.
Okay.
And because so many people was missing, and they were grabbing us as saying this name, that name. When I seen her face, I was looking for her. So I seen her, but I was already with my niece. She was already outside with all of us. So,
Okay. Oh, you found her. You found her first.
yeah,
Okay.
I seen her first. Thank God she was out. They escorted all the employees on the backside, and SWAT had SWAT and special units was there. So they started gathering everybody together as we started going back in looking for other people. That was employees, because that was the first initiative to get the employees and the customers out and get them to safety.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God.
Okay, this looks like the press conference. So let us see this press conference now. And because that should be the sum total of everything that they know. Wait, we got to get past this now and cue the press conference. Hold up, y'all.
As you know, there was a horrific mass shooting in the city of Buffalo this afternoon. 13 people shot, 10 deceased, 3 with non-life-threatening injuries. As soon as the information came out about the shooting, Governor Hochul from Albany was on the phone with me and other elected officials and law enforcement leaders in the community. I want to thank the governor for her very quick response to this horrific situation in Buffalo. And working from Albany, the governor got here as quickly as she could to render support to the community and to check on the status of the victims' families. I'm now going to turn things over to our governor, Kathy Hochul.
Thank you, Mayor Brown, and to all the elected officials and community leaders, clergy, and also our district attorney, who has a lot in his hands right now. I want to thank the Buffalo Police Department for their exceptional work in handling this situation. And also, I want to thank the New York State Police, who have been embedded from the very beginning. The state police role is supportive here locally, but also it is a prime role working with the FBI to secure the home of the individual, which is out of this region from the southern tier, and amass as much evidence as is humanly possible in the very near term. It's hard to know what to say. This is my community. I know this community well. I've walked these streets. I know the individuals who live here. It's a wonderful, tight-knit neighborhood. And to see that sense of security shattered by an individual, a white supremacist who has engaged in an act of terrorism and will be prosecuted as such, in a cold-hearted, cruel, calculating way. A military-style execution targeting people who simply want to buy groceries in a neighborhood store. It strikes us in our very hearts to know that there's such evil that lurks out there. Yes, I'm here to console the families and a community that is feeling so much pain right now. But mark my words, we'll be aggressive in our pursuit of anyone who subscribes to the ideals professed by other white supremacists, and how there's a feeding frenzy on social media platforms where hate festers more hate. That has to stop.
I'm across the street, and I heard a gunshot, and I looked up. I seen a whole bunch of smoke, and I seen a guy in full army fatigue just shooting, going from left to right, just shooting people. And I thought it was an act at first, because that's nutty to see. And then I seen the security guard run inside, and then I seen a guy go in after him, shooting, and I heard 20 to 30 shots. And then I'm like, oh, this is for real. And after a minute or two, I hear the echoes of shots inside. He comes out, he takes the gun, put it to his chin, then he drops it. Oh, there goes Teeny's wife. Then he drops it, and then he took his gloves off. He put something on his boots. Yes, this is his wife. And then he took his bulletproof vest off, and then he got on his knees. Then he laid down, put his hands behind his back, and then they arrested him. Some white guy, fully. I couldn't tell how old he was because he had them army glasses on, hat on. It was unbelievable. Stuff you see on TV doesn't happen here in Cold Springs.
First of all, I hope that the air is not bleeding into my sound, everybody. If it is, forgive me, but it's a sweat box up in here right now. So I'll be brief. But the first couple that spoke, that was her brother that was standing there with her, we learned. And I thought that was beautiful, but you know, if it had been anybody else, they would have been, we're staying here with so-and-so and their brother, and they would have really made it more, you know, it just would have been more, you know. But I was struck by the fact that they seemed so subdued. They didn't seem like they were reacting to a mass shooting where they were nearly killed. And another family member, like her sister or somebody they mentioned, excuse me. That just goes to the state of African people. Certainly those people you know, that was standing there that she was talking to, you know, they just seemed like they were glazed over almost. Are they in shock? Or is this just the glazing of African people in general in this white supremacist terroristic nation? You know, I posed the question. Even the other brother that we saw with the Black King shirt on, you know, it just seemed sort of matter of fact. Just matter of fact. And also, I feel like at times like this, when they bring out their media and they put a camera in your face, you're supposed to get something out there. Put something out there. You feel me? I know that they have a producer on the scene, and then also the reporter and the camera people and all that. But trust me, it's a controlled environment. But that's when you got to be even more defiant. Because let me have been on camera. But yeah, it was a white shooter. Because white people, this is what you do. Look, I would have been looking directly into the camera, saying that's what you do. You shoot up people, mass shooting, while you're trying to call everybody else across the earth a dictator and a murderer and a terrorist. It's you. And here you've done it again. You know, something that indicts. Some kind of language that indicts. You understand? And then this governor, who is a pixie. I mean, I can't. Is she on Valium? I mean, could she have been even more lethargic and subdued? There was no heart in it, you know, and this white supremacist, and, you know, whatever she was saying about white supremacy and white supremacist groups and online and bullshit, but there was no emotional connection to it. It was just, there was no emotion. There was no humanality to her whole presence. Not to mention that outfit is hideous. Not going to get into it. But your thoughts, because she just seemed plastic and fake and dead, quite frankly. Like, there was nothing there. We'll just hear it again. Damn it.
Thank you, Mayor Brown, and to all the elected officials and community leaders, clergy, and also our district attorney who has a lot in his hands right now. I want to thank the Buffalo Police Department for their exceptional work in handling this situation. And also, I want to thank the New York State Police who have been embedded from the very beginning. The state police role is supportive here locally, but also it is a prime role working with the FBI to secure the home of the individual, which is out of the...
Alright, strike that, because you could barely hear her anyway. And I apologize for any of the audio on that, everybody, because I've got everything turned up on my in-house volume, also the volume that is on my record software, so of what you hear, that's all up on full. So on top of everything else, she whispered, so there's that. So she was plastic, she was fake, she was dead, and she whispered. I mean, it was just, they are only responding to this because they have to. This is a job for them. Let's not get confused, everybody, to think that the shooter, that he's the bad white person, but these are good ones. That is, hell no. You understand? And it's the perfect time to make that contrast for you. Because the psychological effect. You're hearing about a mass shooter who, of course, is white, yet again, and then you see these white people step to the mic and they're supposed to be good. Nah, this is just the mask. It's just the mask that we're seeing. Everybody that's standing up there, that is a mask. You understand? They are the same as all the rest of them. And you're seeing them in their professional public capacity, but they have a private and at home and personal incarnation. This is part of the psychological thing that we have to deal with in this country as African people. Well, which one's the bad one? Which one's the good one? But I go back to the analogy I give you all the time, one of many. Nobody ever sees a pit of snakes and declares that some of them in there are good. We see a pit of snakes and we go, that is snakes, we don't want shit to do with it. None of them. And that analogy stands here. And we have centuries of their behavior that backs up my statements. And current day, including this event. So let us be very clear. Let us be very clear. Just because they stand among you and they're saying the right things, that does not mean anything. This is the same demon that we've been dealing with since before 1619. That's just what it is. Just like when you go back and look at any of the any of the lynching photos, you see a sea of them that come from all over, everywhere, all over the region and other states to see one of us lynched or burned at the stake. We have to remain consistent. Damn it. I was gonna pull another article, but I just don't think we need it. I don't think we need it. This was from the Buffalo Times, and I feel like it said everything that we're going to need in life on this. You know, anything after this is just going to be details about the shooter, who he was, and all of that. I'm not really interested in so much of that, you know. We know what happened now. Fact of the matter is, a white man went in and murdered a bunch of African people. The only part that I'm interested in knowing past this is the identity of that retired police officer that they said was doing security at the store. Just want to know if he was a black man or not. And I think it almost doesn't matter, because just the fact that he was a cop, I don't know, because, you know, the racism don't stop just because you put on a badge. There's a recent video that's going around now of a police chief that was pulled over by 2 white demons for nothing. And he got out and identified, look, and he wasn't even in his uniform or anything. And they backed off real quick, and they realized he was the sheriff or the chief. The chief or sheriff, whatever it is. But I'm just trying to say it doesn't matter. So would they have named this a hate crime if it was a black officer? I don't think so. You know, so either that cop is white, or the other 2 people that made up the 13, you know, because they said 11 were black, and then there was 2 that wasn't. We want to know the identity of those 2 people, and or the cop, because I'm trying to understand how we got immediately to hate crime, how we got immediately to arraignments and judges and prosecutors and lawyers and juries and stuff. How did we get directly to that? How did that happen? How did that happen? That is what we need to know. So, as I said in my opener, I do have another video that I have been editing, that I did the day before yesterday on this release of Sundiata Aculi, and also this piece on this nature boy person who they're alleging was running a cult. And I have some things that I'm saying in that I think will be of value to you. So I'm gonna leave it here. I'll see you soon. This is the Jedi.